Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today I want to quickly tell you about why I love the Art of Arkham Horror. I love art books. We know this about me already. I've made a video about this in the past. But everything I said in that video absolutely remains true. I think an art book gives you a sense of the process and the thinking that goes into the development of your favourite films and TV shows. It not only tells you what went into them, but also it can tell you what was left out. For example, bad guy designs or level layouts in your favourite computer games. And it can give you a sense of the artistry, the craft, the technique behind your favourite animations. Art books continue to be one of my favourite things, and I've added to that collection since I made that first video. At some point I may well do an updated art book collection video, but today I just wanted to tell you about the Art of Arkham Horror, because I had this on my Amazon wishlist for a while. I had a bit of spare cash, so I picked it up, and it just blew me away, blew all expectations out of the water, because this book is an experience. And this is really what elevates the best art books beyond simply a collection of images and an insight into design. They can also provide you with atmosphere, with a sense of the possibilities between the pages, with a slight escape, as it were, from the world that you're currently occupying into the world that the artist has imagined. And this book, right from the get-go, absolutely delivers. It's another book from Dark Horse Books, and this book has the same high-quality design aesthetic as all of the Dark Horse books do. The cover is simple. It's a matte art finish with a high gloss print on the Art of Arkham Horror and the frame there. And on the back of the book, actually, it's equally simple. It's very minimal in terms of information, but it's an extension of the art. And that theme really runs throughout this entire art book. Often art is minimally explained. It often takes up a whole page, or maybe a whole half a page to itself, with smaller sort of textural and colour studies surrounding it. There's a huge array of characters and a sense of well, what I personally love and adore from the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft, and that is that weird collision of 1920s society with the arcane. You have everyone from working Joes to minor aristocrats, scientists to musicians, all confronting things on the edge of their understanding, things that could be magical, things that could simply be unexplained science, things that could be monsters that are best left alone. And it's all dripping with that sense of jazz and bootleggers and gangsters and adventurers that just sparks my imagination. I want to know more whenever I look at this book. It just draws me in. There's one image in particular of some deep ones, some essentially fish people who most notably turn up in the story The Shadow over Innsmouth, which again, there's not much in the way of an explanation for the image, but we have a mother and child, and they both have slightly pearlescent skin, almost like someone's come upon them in a cave with a torch, and it's so evocative. There's a picture of a house that's clearly abandoned, and the porch is falling in, but you want to know what's inside the house as the truck or the taxi headlights illuminate the entrance. There's also a hint of a monster breaking out through the tower up there. This sort of Americana on the East Coast, a contrast of decadence and decay, is dripping with potential and possibility, and with imaginative license to jump off from the art into a world that you can populate with your own characters, with your own imaginings, with your own extension of what's on the page. I know I'm just waxing lyrical now, but this is what this book does to me and does for me. It just sends me off on a flight of fancy, and the best art books do that. So if you're at all interested in H.P. Lovecraft, or in that sort of sense of atmosphere in an art book, this one is for you. Yes, it is. It's also about the art of the board game Arkham Horror, but it's not just about that. It's also, it feels like a resource book, actually, in many ways, for imaginative scenario building, and I love it. Now, by contrast, I would offer up this book. It's another book that I also recently got, and that is Castlevania: The Art of the Animated Series. It's the Netflix animation that recently culminated in its 4th season, and I pre-ordered this book as soon as I knew that it was being published. It's also from Dark Horse Books, but this book actually is not that good. It's a real shame, and it serves as a contrast that really highlights just how good the Art of Arkham Horror is, because this book, it gives you everything that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. It tells you an awful lot about character development, the way that, for example, Trevor Belmont was developed, the look of his face, depending on who the voice actor who eventually voiced him was going to be, the colours of his clothes. Alucard has a similar treatment. In fact, it feels like 2/3, although it is, to be fair, closer to half of the book, is just dedicated to character design and variations of characters, and that is absolutely one of the reasons I love art books. It's one of the reasons why I love the Ghibli art books, actually, is the way that they have the art, which is at the heart of any Ghibli movie, but also they give you character variation. They give you the colour palette that's in the movie as well. I recently got the Arrietty art book, and I love that. But I think in this instance, the Castlevania book, especially when it comes to, for example, the storyboarding of a scene, and how monsters were designed and sort of the variations thereof, it all feels a bit, I suppose, clinical. There's far more images per page, so in other words, the images are far smaller, and by the time we get to the landscapes, which is really what I was really looking forward to, the castle views, for example, the images are so small on the page for the most part that they kind of lose their scale. They lose their atmosphere, actually, and I find myself just a little bit disappointed. Sometimes less is more. Less writing, less explanation, and certainly less images vying for your attention on the same page. There's a really good panel here or single page image of the portrait of Dracula, Alucard, and Lisa Tepesh. That's a nice one, and and there is good imagery in here, but at least today, this book let me down. The cover of the book promises so much in terms of atmosphere, and it doesn't quite deliver. On another day, I'm sure I'll come back to this, and I'll be in awe of the development of a magnificent animated series for Netflix. But sometimes, in fact, for me, more often than not, I really want an art book to transport me to another place, another time, another world, and at the very least, the imagination of the artists involved, and the Art of Arkham Horror absolutely does that. Hopefully this has been interesting for you, and hopefully this has drawn you even closer into my adoration of art books. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad I did pre-order Castlevania, but just sometimes I think the smallest changes in presentation, even from the same publisher, can make a big difference as to how the art impacts you. And this book got it right, at least for me anyway. This book got it right. Thank you for watching, guys. Until next time, do take care. Bye bye.